boys and girls, welcome to my channel. I'm for Classic and welcome to BenchART. So for today what I do have in it is Mountain Blades to Bannerlord. So this game it is still currently on early access by the time of this video. It was released just right now. And so it packs a lot of bugs and a lot of optimization I believe it needs to be done. And a lot of stuff and a lot of work regarding the game it needs to be done. But whatever or not, I decided to try out the game since a lot of people did request me to do the video about its performance, and here it is. So with my HD 7850, what I'm going to do, the settings that I'm going to use in here, it is pretty much low settings, alright? I just raised a little bit the texture quality. But looking to the requirements, these guys require a Ryzen 3 CPU. Keep in mind that this game it is very CPU bound, so you need to have a good CPU. They also require a 6 gigs of RAM. I do recommend you to have 8, alright? And an HD 7850, which is exactly our graphic card in here. So the minimum requirements, from what I do see, it is for low settings 60 frames per second. So I just tried out the battle with 500 NPCs on screen, and what I got with the low settings was an average of 80 frames per second with a 1% low of 58, while the median settings, what I got, it was an average of 32 with a 1% low of 22. Alright, so the median settings offers much better graphics in my opinion, and if you are fine to be playing at 30 frames per second, you know, between 20 to 14 frames per second during the battles, then you should go with median settings because the graphics are so much better than the low settings. Although the low settings offers a very consistent 60 frames per second. I also decided to try the game during a small village which is outside the combat to try to understand what the performance was. And using the low settings, the settings that I did use in here, I got an average of 74 frames per second with a 1% low of 65, so which means that the game was always above 60 frames per second, while the median settings it was fine above 30 frames per second, so it was pretty much between the 35 to 45 frames per second. Although in these sequences over here, despite I'm playing with low settings, you are actually seeing that I'm running at 43, 44 frames per second. This is the most demanding battle, and I wouldn't say the most demanding battle, but it is seriously the most demanding scenario that I did found in-game to perform a battle. I'm not really sure what to expect from the rest of the game regarding scenarios, but if you have scenarios more complex like this, you can expect something around 45 frames per second as a minimum with the low settings. Alright, and this is very CPU bound on those scenarios, although I believe that most of the battles will be in plain scenarios like this one, where the game actually do perform much better. As you can see, this is with the same settings, the only difference was the scenario, and in here what I get it is pretty much an experience above 60 frames per second. Alright, it has some drops here and there, but absolutely runs so much better than the other scenario. Alright, this is the performance that you can expect for now during this first early access version of Mountain Blade 2. But like I was telling you, these guys have a lot of work to be done. I've been reading a little bit, and from what I have seen, this team wants to work with, you know, this game have an RPG element into it, and you can do conversation between NPCs, and there are some choices that you need to be done, and those choices are just, you know, those conversations are just text, alright, and these guys want to gather some voice actors to perform the, you know, the voiceovers for those texts, so to be more valuable to the game, to add more value, to add more realism into it, just people just reading the texts like it was a very low budget indie title. So they also want to add more different villages, more maps, they want to refine most of the stuff, and also they want to add multiplayer to the game. But I haven't seen anything regarding optimization, and that is one thing that I think these guys should do. Despite this game it is using DirectX 11, and performance-wise I was fine, but keep in mind that I have a Ryzen 5 3600X, which is a very recent CPU, and not very sloppy CPU in fact. The thing is, when you push the 500 NPCs to 1000, which is the maximum that you can use right now in game, our Ryzen 5 can't handle 60 frames per second. Alright, I start to get CPU bottlenecks. Even despite this CPU, it is very recent and very powerful. What happens really is that with 1000 players on screen, the CPU just can't handle it. At least the way that the game it is done today, it just can't handle it. So if they had like stuff like DirectX 12 or Vulkan, probably we had a better chance to get more players on screen without having CPU issues, alright? So I'm not really sure what these guys are saving for the final version of this game, but this is one of the things that I would enjoy to see. It is a Vulkan version or a DirectX 12 version. Probably Vulkan it was better, since Molten Blade, the first game, was also released for Linux, if I don't get myself wrong in here. And it would make sense for them to develop with Vulkan in mind. So guys, I think that's all that I want to talk about the performance of Mountain Blade 2. Hope you keep enjoying the rest of the video, and I do hope to see you soon. Goodbye.